with anything we've got from scientific advancements from this age of the earth theory. And I think it's a great hindrance to scientific research. Many scientists have been creationists. We could spend hours on this. And many scientists today are creationists. There's a book in 6 days, Why 50 Scientists Choose to Believe in Creation. There are several books like this available. There are thousands of scientists today who are creationists, so it is not correct to characterize this as science versus the Bible. This is a misunderstanding or a misapplication of science. Let's see. Right here. Yeah. Evolution is a fairy tale for grown-ups. The theory has helped nothing in the progress of science. It's useless. It's a useless theory. Now, as far as the question of stars, how did the stars get their light here? Let me go to Stephen Hawking, who refused to debate me a few months ago when I was in England, said, stars are so far away that they appear to be just pinpoints of light. We cannot see their size or shape. How do we tell the types of stars apart? We can only see the color of their light, basically, is all we can tell. If you're going to measure the distance to a star, the only sure mathematical way is with parallax trigonometry, and you have to know two sides in one angle or two angles in one side. I taught trig for 15 years, okay? And you have to know some points, okay? The problem is the Earth is only 8,000 miles in diameter. So if you're looking at a star from opposite sides of the Earth, the base of your triangle is way too small. What they've done to enlarge the base of the triangle is look at the star in January and then look at it in June. Now you have the opposite sides of Earth's orbit as the base of your triangle. Well, we all know it's 93 million miles to the sun, but that's only 8 light minutes. The diameter of this huge circle we're going around is 16 light minutes. Well, a year has 525,000 minutes in it. So if that little yellow dot represented Earth's orbit, not the Earth, the orbit of the Earth, it's way too big, the drawing, for the scale here. Actually, if you had two surveyors set up their transit 16 inches apart, representing the 16 light minutes of Earth's orbit, and they were looking at a dot 525,000 inches away, which is 8 1/3 miles, you would have a very skinny triangle. 16 inches between point A and B, and point C is 8 1/3 miles away. That's the exact triangle you get when you try to measure 1 light year using Earth's orbit as the diameter. If you want to measure, that works out to be an angle of 0.017 degrees, by the way. If you want to measure 100 light years, you have to move your dot 830 miles away. Now, if I had two guys on my roof in Pensacola, Florida, looking at a dot in Chicago, trying to calculate the distance based on the angle between these two guys, parked 16 inches away from each other, I would say that's clearly impossible, and that's only 100 light years. To measure 15 billion is clearly impossible. So, some things to consider about starlight, which is often the reason that people believe the universe is billions of years old. This textbook says you can't measure more than 100 light years. I don't think you can measure more than 20 light years, but I'll give them 100. Okay, I'll give them 500 if they quit crying. The fact is you can't measure billions. All right. Now, we don't know the distance to the stars. They probably are billions of light years away. I wouldn't question that. But we don't know how far away they are. And you don't tell me. I heard Hugh Ross said, yeah, the farthest star is 14.76 billion light years away. I said, I just simply don't believe you. How did you measure that? Lufkin, Stanley, or Craftsman? And who held the other end of that tape measure? Secondly, nobody knows what light is. And we certainly don't know that it always travels the same speed throughout time or space. The whole theory behind a black hole is that light can be attracted by gravity. And we go through all kinds of things on my videotape number 7 and on my website, Dr. Dino, showing the speed of light is not consistent. In 1999, they slowed light down to 38 miles an hour. The next year, they brought it to 1 mile an hour. The next year, they brought it to a dead stop. They slowed light down to 0. The experiment was repeated at Harvard, Smithsonian, and Cambridge. That's the way science works. Here's an article just last month. Physicists briefly freeze a pulse of light. They brought it down to 0. Meanwhile, at Princeton University, they speeded light up to 300 times the speed of light. The speed of light has decreased over time. We have all kinds of measurements showing the speed of light has apparently decreased. There have been all kinds of experiments done with this. This guy said the speed of light was apparently exceeded by a factor of as much as 100. The speed of light was 10 billion times faster at time 0, this physicist, an evolutionist, by the way, says. The Big Bang Theory requires the speed of light to be much faster, originally. This article, August 2001, says the speed of light may have changed over history, study says. Imperial College of London, the professor said, the shocking possibility is the speed of light might change in time during the life of the universe. At Reuters News Service ran an article last year, said the speed of light may not be a constant. Been many articles on this. I have a whole collection. Here's a whole book about this, faster than the speed of light. They ran an article in April 2003, Discover magazine. Was Einstein wrong about the speed of light? The answer to the article basically is yes. Einstein's theory was wrong. See, they start with the assumption the speed of light is consistent and never changes and can't be exceeded, and that's simply a false assumption to start with. There's 4 articles from just recently in the last year or so about the speed of light is simply not a constant, from CNN, USA Today, New Scientist, and BBC News. All you got to do is search the folks. It's not correct to say the speed of light's always the same. Thirdly, the creation was finished and mature when God made it. The God that I worship, like Jesus, can make wine out of grapes that never existed, aged in time that never was. God can make light and stars simultaneously, okay? He didn't make 2 babies and put them in a garden and hand them a package of seeds and say, plant these quick. He can make a full-grown man, a full-grown woman, a full-grown tree with fruit already on the tree, ripe, ready to eat. And he can make a full-grown universe with light already showing. See, I think the problem is many people are trying very hard to limit God. We can't go faster than the speed of light, so God, you can't either. And that, to me, is not wise. 4th thing to consider, a light year is a distance, it's not a time. If the star is 15 billion light years away, and it probably is, nobody knows, that still wouldn't mean it took 15 billion years to get here. That's the stumbling block that guys like Hugh Ross have. They don't think, they're trying to limit God. God can't do anything faster than the speed of light. Well, how long does it take your prayers to get to heaven and back? Speed of light is not proven to be consistent. Why would star distance have anything to do with the age of the universe? Even if they are billions of light years away. Okay, how do they measure the speed of light? How do they measure the distance to the stars? This guy says, we can find the absolute ages by comparing a star's color and brightness with those in stellar evolution models. What? We can tell how old it is by how old we think it is. That's what he's saying. Come on now. They talk about redshift and Cepheid variables. We can cover plenty on that. It's based on the theory that the Doppler effect also affects light. We don't know that it does. But the whole idea of measuring the distance to stars is simply not science. You get beyond a few hundred light years, you're way beyond the branches of science that are testable, observable, and demonstrable. So the stars might be billions of light years away. I don't know. I'll give you a couple examples of recent changes here, though. I'm going to run out of time. Here we go. Astronomers believed the Veil, one of the best studied supernova remnants, was 2,500 light years away and 18,000 years old. They were quite wrong. In fact, the Veil is only 1,500 light years away and 5,000 years old. I mean, just change it like that. Discover Magazine 2 years ago. The nearest Cepheids are difficult to determine their absolute distance with any great accuracy. They admitted here in Cambridge University Press. All large distances in astronomical literature are subject to an error of perhaps 10% from this cause alone. You simply can't measure it. We know that faintness, how bright the star is, arises from 2 causes, distance and absorbing matter in space, and it's not possible generally to apportion it between the 2. Here's what happens. The astronomers will look at a star and say, wow, that one's bright, it must be closer. That one's dim, it must be farther. Well, it could be there's dust in between. It could be absorbing matter in space. We simply don't know. If you try to question, though, the red shift, you can see what happened to Halton Harp when he tried to question the red shift and how he lost his government grants and his job and everything else. Get the book, The Evolution Cruncher, if you want more on that. 11 times in Scripture, the Bible says God stretched out the heavens. He stretched out the heavens. He stretched them out, Isaiah 45. He stretched out the heavens, Jeremiah chapter 10. So the stretching of the heavens is one possible explanation for the red shift. It does not, we don't know the distance. God could have created it all yesterday and flung the stars out there in space and had the light star way out there and the trail of light in between. No problem. The God that I worship is not limited by things like that. Thank you so much.
It's your turn, Jamin.
All right. Thank you. Well, a couple of things. I would like to clarify